Hello and welcome back to Helluva Podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Audie. The O is silent.
And today we are finishing up our discussion of Western energy.
Where Stolas gets his fucking shit rocked.
True. So we are saying this at the very start. From now on, the most recent episodes that have come out as we are recording this are Apology Tour, Season 2, Episode 10, I think. I usually write it down. I did not.
No, 9.
9.
10?
9. 9, because
there's 3 left in the season.
Yes. Episode 9. Season 2, Episode 9, Apology Tour. But also, the second Helluva short just came out recently.
Mission Antarctica.
I did not remember the title, so good on you. Also, I feel the need to say it because I'm going to be staring at this screen the entire time. We are recording our behind the scenes video right now that is going to be on our YouTube channel. So we're basically just recording our setup, how we record. It's going to have clips of us recording this episode, and then we will record uploading it and stuff, and then it'll be on our YouTube channel, which is AA Discussions, I think.
I believe so, yeah. And I can have it up there by tomorrow, same time this episode drops. So if you want to listen to this episode and then go immediately watch it, or the other way around, you can find it on our YouTube, which we'll have linked in case we said the wrong thing.
I think it is AA. A few of our social medias are just Helluva Podcasts, like our Twitter, which I still don't really understand how to run. But that one, so that I was just making sure, but I think it is AA.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. And in case you didn't know, Alex has been going through the process of putting all of our podcast episodes on that YouTube channel, so if for some reason you would prefer to listen on YouTube rather than Spotify, you have the option. There's no video component, it's just audio still.
Yeah, and our logo.
And our logo slapped on top.
So if you're listening to this, it's the same exact thing that's on Spotify for season 2 episodes where we have like the little logo and it's technically a video podcast. It's the same exact thing on YouTube. But it's all of them. Not all of them, but I'm mostly done with season 1. So if you would prefer to listen to it on YouTube, or I know a lot of people don't have Spotify, or we have a few people who wanted to listen that have like restrictions on their Spotify. So if you know anyone that wants to listen but can't on Spotify for whatever reason, it's on YouTube. It is also marked explicit on there, but there isn't an age restriction on it. Like, it's not an 18 plus content thing, but it's, if you have children's restriction on your YouTube for whatever reason, first of all, you shouldn't be listening to our podcast. Second of all, you won't be able to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I felt the need to say that we're recording the behind the scenes video because also, if you use any of these clips, I feel like I have to stare at this screen because I'm like recording a video. And so I feel like if I get distracted, that might be why.
We could we never mind. I just realized we're recording the podcast now, so I'm not going to say that. Yeah.
Were you going to say we can switch the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
screen,
it's fine.
You know? I'm getting my wires crossed because, like, we have this video running on my iPad, but we can cut out whatever we want on there, but we don't edit the podcast, so I'm like, we could just cut that out, but...
Yeah, fun fact, and you'll see this in the behind the scenes video, the most editing I do is slap the music on there and then slap the video component on there. I do not edit for clarity or anything, which I probably should, but our episodes are so long.
They're so long.
It would take so much time. And then also I don't know, I feel like I really like podcasts that don't cut like that.
Yeah.
And so if that's something that people listen for, I don't want to take that away.
Yeah. Anyway, some more quick business before we get into it. We still have a newsletter. Did we send one out for August? Oh shit! We missed a month.
I feel like we wrote one recently, but was that July?
That was July. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, we do have a newsletter with mostly consistent...
Maybe we can send one out for August, like, this week.
Yeah.
And so you get a jump. If you subscribe to it in the next few days, you'll get the August one, even though you're not supposed to.
I love figuring these things out on
the podcast, yeah.
We also have an Instagram at AA Discussions, which is where you can find our newsletter. And also, through the link tree on our Instagram, you will find a link to our Big Cartel site, which is where we have stickers available.
Big Cartel, I swear, is not a scary site. It is literally just a free online marketplace, and we're poor, so we don't pay for one. I don't know why it's called Big Cartel, but I don't know. I felt the need to say that. But I also feel like it's kind of fitting to the podcast.
And our stickers are from Sticker Blitz. So
they are from Sticker Blitz.
We're very on theme with our services.
With our merch, so.
Our merch.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we get into it?
I think so.
We've got a heavy bullet point right off the bat.
Yeah. This is actually a continuation. I had to re-put the thing of the Stryker and Stolas section because it was so long that we cut off in the middle of it last episode. And so we are starting here. Do you want to take it?
Sure. Stolas is coping with the trauma he is actively experiencing by saying that Blitz handles him rougher, which is just such a complicated... Because, like... I mean, he's obviously joking.
Yeah.
Like, Blitz doesn't actually handle him rougher than Stryker, who is torturing him before killing him. But also, what a wild comparison to make.
Yeah, especially because, like, I feel like part of it might be because, like, that's the... Actually, I take that back. I was going to say it's because it's the only other situation where he's been handled roughly like that, but I doubt that. I mean, we've seen his dad slap him as a kid.
And we know about Stella.
Yeah. And I would say rough sexually, but it's not supposed to be sexual with Stryker, but maybe it is for him.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's just a very, very wild thing to say, and I think that's also kind of the point. Like, yeah. I think he knows it's crazy when he's saying it. He's trying to throw him off his rhythm.
Yeah, but, and I think also he's coping with it kind of... Like, just the fact that the comparison jumps into his brain is crazy, because this is, like, the most danger he's ever been in, presumably. And he's like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna connect my situationship and my feelings about that with this is crazy.
Yeah. But, you know, anyway, no biggie.
No biggie.
He does start crying as soon as Stryker walks away.
Yeah. And it's so fucking sad.
This is a hard episode.
It is. No, Vivzy and the team love to be like, hey, you know what would hurt really bad if this person was really isolated and sad?
Yeah.
It's usually Blitz, but, like, no, Moxie, too. It's a trend.
It's a trend. Yeah. Also, the fact that Stryker is torturing Stolas at all before killing him, I mean, you could argue, like, if he'd just gone straight to killing him, there'd probably be less of a plot to this episode, and Stolas would probably be dead. But also, there's the implication that Stella instructed him to torture him first.
Yeah, not only implication, but almost, like, he says it because he says, like, your wife must really hate you, or whatever he says. Yeah, your wife must really hate you.
Yeah. And so it could also be for his own enjoyment, and, like, I'm sure it is with all of the baggage that Stryker has with, like, royals and and the rich.
I mean,
and all that,
it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
But also, this your wife must really hate you is not just in relation to killing him. It's, like, I forget exactly what it said, but there's something else that's said that regarding the torture. So I think you're right, it was instructed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. But then even through all of that torture, and all that, like, Stolas keeps up this very strong front of, like, oh, Blitz handles me rougher, or, like, ooh, so feisty, you know, like, poking fun at Stryker and, like, coping pretty sarcastically with the whole thing. But then it's when Stryker mentions Via that Stolas drops the whole, don't you breathe a word about my daughter. Like, yeah,
and Stryker's like, oh, I struck a nerve. It's such a switch.
It's such a switch, and it's so obvious, which is unfortunate for both Stolas and Octavia, because now that's definitely going to be used against him in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said and then immediately decided to take a sip of my coffee. Wires crossed there. But yeah, I think also Stryker is a really terrifying villain in this cast of characters, because Millie and Moxie don't actually end up getting him in this episode.
Yeah.
And Blitz and Fizz also don't, like, get him back together. Yeah. And given Fizz isn't much help. But,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, even when Stryker is unsuccessful, he still evades. And there's always this threat of him returning. Even now that Stella isn't employing him currently, we know that he's working with Crimson.
Yeah.
And even if he wasn't working with Crimson, he's just... You could just expect him to show up at any moment.
Yeah, and he's very stealthy about it as well. Like, he gets away with kidnapping him, and he almost gets away with killing him at Harvest Moon by deceiving people.
Yeah.
So it's, like, he's not only a very good hitman and very good at killing, but he's also very good at, like, manipulation and the... personable bits of the job, I guess.
Yeah.
Which makes him so much stronger than most other villains.
I'd argue there aren't a lot of villains in this show, even in Has-Been, to compare the two. I feel like there aren't many villains in this universe that are so multifaceted, if there are any who are as multifaceted as Stryker. Because, like, you know, there's... what's his face? There's Crimson, who is, like, he doesn't take any shit, and, like, he will, you know, he doesn't give a fuck, but then also he's not really good at doing things himself. Like, he has his cronies who do his work for him, and that probably, you know, that comes from being rich and the head of a mob family. But, like, Stryker is someone who came supposedly from nothing, or if he had something, it was all taken from him. Like, so he's just had to learn to do everything himself.
And he does do everything himself. He doesn't have any, like, help at all, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because even, like, Blitz, who comes from nothing, he has Millie, Moxie, and Luna. So...
Yeah. So, yeah, it's made him stronger and more fearsome.
And then also, especially with Stolas, like, that shit's personal. That shit's his entire, like, goal in life, is to defeat the Royals. So he's gonna keep going after this guy. And then Blitz that whole thing is also personal because of the interpersonal things that happened in Harvest Moon. So it's like this specific group of people that he's coming after is so personal.
Yeah.
So not only is he really good at his job, but then he also has all that passion behind it.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah. Kind of rooting for him.
Yeah. I would love to see an arc where he joins forces with IMP in some capacity. Honestly, not much would have to even change about him. He would just have to get a little less trigger happy when it comes to Stolas specifically.
Yeah.
But that's really it.
Yeah.
Because you think, like, we see Stryker as a villain and then, like, IMP as the protags, but they're also all hitmen. Like, they are also morally really fucked up.
Yeah.
Hello, or we're in hell. Wait, what's the whole line?
Everyone's shitty.
Hello, we're in hell.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I
have no idea where we are.
Yeah, Stolas is still holding on to hope that Blitz will come save him, which is so fucked because Blitz doesn't come save him.
And, like, Millie and Moxie do, and, like, Blitz sent them, obviously, like, that is a connection with Blitz, those two regarding Stolas, but, it's not him. He never does come. Yeah,
it's Millie and Moxie, and... Which is especially hurtful for Stolas because Blitz did save him from Stryker once, but as we learn in Apology Tour, Stolas has no fucking idea that he was in danger in Western Energy.
Yeah,
and in Harvest Moon.
Yeah, and that adds, like, a whole layer there because it's like... He didn't know that, so it's like he didn't know that Blitz already saved him once.
Yeah.
But then when he finds out, he's, like, upset that he knew that someone wanted to kill him and he didn't do anything. Obviously, like, I would be upset too. But he did do something. He did stop him. But then it's the same person that Blitz stopped.
Yeah.
But had he told Stolas, maybe Stolas would have had a higher guard. You know, like, maybe things would have been different and he wouldn't have been in that situation. Yeah. I also realized when that was revealed in Apology Tour, I was so surprised that Stolas didn't know, even though... You know, we never saw Blitz tell him, but I realized since then that
this show, and we'll get to this towards the end of this episode with, like, you know, we don't see any of Stolas's recovery in the hospital and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think this show does just leave a lot of things out, which isn't necessarily bad. It does just throw you for a loop sometimes. So I think maybe I just assumed that Blitz did tell Stolas.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's interesting. That's a good way that, like, leaving out information can work to the show's advantage, because sometimes it's just like, you know, they didn't have time to show it, or it didn't seem important to show it for whatever reason, but then sometimes, like, you just assume, like, oh, that did happen, they just didn't show it, but then you learn that it didn't, and it's like a reveal that you should have known, but
it acts as a reveal.
It acts as a reveal, you know?
Yeah, and it's also really interesting too, because like, I forgot why it's interesting. I lost my train of thought. I'll say the other thing that I was thinking, though. Mm-hmm. The things they cut out also, too, I think circles back to the fact that this is a show about Blitz and his life. Mm-hmm. Because Blitz wasn't there for Stolas's recovery. They weren't talking, so of course they didn't do the recovery, because Blitz wasn't there. Yeah. Blitz didn't know how that went down. So then this reveal is interesting, because Blitz does know that I didn't tell him, you know? So, like, that acting as a reveal...
Yeah, it's like, did Blitz, like, forget to tell him?
I think he did
actively conceal it, or?
I think he probably did or I don't know if he forgot to tell him. I think he forgot that he didn't tell him, though.
Yeah.
Because who said that?
Yeah, I think it's almost, like, for whatever reason, I think Blitz didn't want Stolas to know. Or maybe just, I think also part of it is he didn't think of it as a big deal, because, like, he didn't know Stolas could get hurt. Exactly.
And I think that, to kind of... What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, and also, like, I think in retrospect it's very important that Moxie is the one who, like, finds Stryker's gun and is like, oh, this can be used to kill royals. But that information is never relayed to Blitz. Yeah. So part of you is like, how could you not know? But then you're like, of course he doesn't know. You can get her. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense, especially where, in general, in Hell, but then also... in the environment that Blitz grew up in, these royals are seen as, like, unkillable. Untouchable, immortal, etc., etc. Like, they, you know?
Yeah.
They're seen as all-powerful, so of course he thought that. And, like... it's interesting because, like, he didn't think he could get hurt physically, right? Mm-hmm. But what about the emotional pain? Because that's the big problem with the two of them.
Yeah.
Like, did he genuinely not know that he was causing Stolas emotional pain either?
I don't know.
Because, like, clearly he knew with his exes what he did wrong, but does he know in the moment?
Right.
But that's not this episode.
No.
Yeah. That's also not originally what I was going to say. I forget what it was, though. So, we move on.
We ball.
So, Millie and Moxie are the ones that save him, but from Stryker, but also, in a way, Stella saves him, which is really interesting. Mm-hmm. Because if Stella didn't call and say, hey, don't kill him, he would be dead. Like, he was about to be killed.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting dynamic there, because Stella called the hit, so she's the one killing him. But then also... had she not called, and, like, Millie and Moxie hadn't showed up at that point, so, like, in that moment, Stella is the one who saved him.
I mean, I would argue that it's Androlphus.
That's true.
Because Stella wouldn't have called if not for him.
I would agree with that.
And that leads me to believe if it was even Stella's idea in the first place to hire a hit on Stolas. Because she's, like... she's kind of stupid, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's her whole thing. And, like, I feel like it wouldn't have been difficult for Androlphus to convince her to be like, hey, you know, if he's annoying you so much, just kill him. Even if he said it as a joke, she'd be like, yeah, I could just kill him. And that would also explain how she gets a connection to Stryker, because I just feel like Androlphus is more likely to have that connection, you know?
Only thing with that is Androlphus says, was that you? With the hit. So I don't think... I mean, what you said, like a joke, giving her the idea, that's definitely possible. Yeah. But I think him knowing in that moment, not so much. Because he doesn't know. Yeah. But, yeah. She is stupid.
So dumb.
But I could also see her being like, oh, I fucking want to kill this guy. And then just, like, asking someone for the name of a hitman and they give it to her because she's royal, you know? Yeah. Like, that's some shit I could see her doing without a second thought.
Yeah.
Also, regarding Blitz not coming, Stryker says to Stolas that rodeo clown said he ain't coming. And rodeo clown seems very specific of a wording.
Yeah. It's especially, like, I mean, rodeo has, like, wrath ties to it. It seems
definitely
like
does.
Stryker's making his own assumptions about Blitz, but he talked about those stereotypes and such in the last episode. But.
Yeah. And is it common for imps to be circus performers, or is, like, I want to know more about
it is.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to know more about the entire dynamic of the circus and the showbiz in this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, were they like a special circus because of that? Mm-hmm. You know, like it's interesting to me, and like that specific a rodeo clown, but they're not in Wrath. It's not a rodeo. It's a circus in a big city like Pride. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Stryker says, "Choke on your blue blood."
Yeah.
And I did just want to say that the Royals could have had actual blue blood animated, and that is such a fucking L.
Yeah, I can't tell sometimes because it looks black.
It's black.
Are we sure it's not a very dark blue?
It's the same shade as the other blood. So if all the blood is dark blue, then yes. But
okay.
I think it would have been a really interesting animation choice if they had even like dark blue.
Yeah.
But just blue blood, the Royals, I think would be so cool.
That would be cool.
Just because there is so much stuff, and I think it's a missed opportunity. And every time a blue blood line is said, I'm upset about it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. And then back what we were saying earlier about Stella kind of saving Stolas' life after ordering to have him killed. I love the just like, change of plans, darling. I need the prick alive. Just so casual.
I'm kind of in the middle of killing him.
Yeah. Also, Girlie's timing is insane.
Yeah.
I love Stryker's like gesture when he gets the phone call, just like
yeah.
He doesn't even know what to do.
Also, and then he goes, hello. Yeah, that's all we had for Stryker and Stolas.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about Stryker when we get to the end of this passage, but we're going to talk about all the M&M.
Yippee, my favorite candy.
Yippee. Why you stop it?
We weren't going to record the whole time, were we?
I forgot we're still recording the podcast. This is really trippy. Audie stopped recording the video. And I got very mixed up there.
Yeah. It'd be crazy if I was just like, oh, we were going to record the rest of the podcast? My bad.
But yeah, no, that's fine. But anyway, Millie is a passenger princess.
As she should be, as she deserves.
Yeah, I wrote.
For real.
I wrote in the notes that she deserves it. Also, you're a passenger princess because you don't know how to drive.
We don't know that Millie knows how to drive.
True.
That still makes me a passenger princess.
That's true. I thought I was for some reason thinking about the fight in X's and O's. Does she drive in that? Or is that Blitz that drives in that? Even with dragging the people in the back at the very end?
I mean, yeah, but she's not, like, driving.
That's true. She might know how to operate a car, but doesn't have a license or whatever. Do you need a license in hell? I don't.
But my point was more, I think whether or not you have a license and can drive, you can still be a passenger princess. Even,
that's true.
Like, if you don't have a license, you're a passenger princess. You sit in the passenger seat exclusively.
That's true. I feel like it's a different vibe, though, when, like, it's two people who can both drive. So that there's equal opportunity there, but one person is always in the passenger seat. And I feel like that is definitely what this is. Though I could see it fluctuating with the two of them, because everything fluctuates with the two of them. But I like that she's a passenger princess in this. Mm-hmm. And they drove from... Wait.
From Lust?
From... Not Lust, from...
Pride?
No. Where's the hospital? Sloth.
Sloth. That's what it is, yes.
Okay, so this next note that I wrote down, because I wrote this down if they were driving from Pride, but I think they probably were already in Sloth.
Yeah.
But because the 3 rings down from Sloth is Wrath?
I will pull up the rings.
I don't know what I was talking about here. I think I wrote this note for Audie to check and then just never told you.
Yeah.
So it makes no fucking sense.
Okay, so 3 rings. Sloth is the lowest ring. Pride is the highest.
So is Wrath 3 rings down from...
No.
What's 3 rings down?
From where?
From Pride.
From Pride is Greed.
Okay, so Greed is the nearest ocean. That is what I wanted to
That's what we've established, because
yes.
that would also make sense because that's where Moxie's mom dies, in an ocean in Greed.
That's true. Is it the only ocean? No, because the nearest ocean is the line he says.
Yeah, but like across Pride, Wrath, Gluttony, and Greed, if the nearest ocean is several rings away, I'd assume oceans aren't that popular.
Yeah.
To be clear, what we're referencing is we went on a little tangent. In Spring Broken, when Blitz said something like, I thought I could smell fish, but the nearest ocean is 3 rings down.
Yeah.
He says that from Pride. 3 rings down would be Greed.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there could be multiple oceans in Greed, but I feel like if there's not a single ocean in the top 3 rings, the odds of there being more than one ocean in a ring, you know what I mean? That's just what I would assume.
I don't think there's more than one in a ring. I'm just wondering if there's another one in Hell Point Blank.
There could be, but Moxie's mom dies in Greed.
Yes, no, and I think it is Greed because he says 3 rings down.
What were we debating? I'm confused.
I wasn't debating anything. I'm very confused what you're debating.
I don't... Because I said... I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think we are debating.
You questioned me on something, but now I don't know what it was.
No, I was just asking if it was likely that there's another ocean in Hell Point Blank because that is the middle ring. So, like, is there another one?
I see.
I
don't know.
Yeah, no, I was just bringing it up. I wasn't trying to argue. But the ocean comment, I don't know. That was in the notes. And so I wrote it down. The handwritten notes. So I wrote it in the digital notes. And yeah, some kind of elevator system thing. Or are they driving up in circles?
Yeah.
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 That little tangent that was completely and utterly not productive. I did want to say though, after watching Apology Tour, like the I thought I smelled fish thing was really out of pocket in Spring Broken. Mm-hmm. Is that in Spring Broken? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But after watching Apology Tour, so fucking out of pocket for Blitz to lead with that when seeing Veronica.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to when they get to the gas station.
Yeah.
Millie and Moxie, that is not Blitz and Veronica.
Yeah. There are striker wanted signs at the gas station. So, Homeboy is very much a public criminal figure.
Yeah.
And then hard pivot to...
Hey, queer boy!
Hey, queer boy! Moxie just gets fucking microaggressed.
Yeah, he turns around.
Yeah. And has the same fucking hat as this fucking homophobe, which is so funny because it's such a gay hat.
It's such a gay hat. Yeah. The homophobe's in the wrong. Obviously, the homophobes are always in the wrong, but this specific time, it's like, then why are you fucking wearing the gay hat?
Yeah.
And then he says, oh, sorry, my wife just put this hat on my head because it's hot. Outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 2 things from this. The implication, obviously, that it's also just hot on him is funny. But then also, if it's actually because he's hot outside, that implies that Moxie is a pale little white boy, which I choose to believe. Yeah. In Hell Equivalent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's got the freckles. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Millie's like, all right, my twink ass husband needs a hat on his head. Yeah. Also, I really love this scene where Moxie and Millie, like, flip roles, where Moxie is like, so we're doing this, huh? And just doesn't give a fucking shit just fucks up these little guys.
Yeah.
These tiny little, or not the little guys, these cowboys.
Yeah, and then Millie's like, hey, do you know any, have you seen this guy?
Yeah. Moxie in the background throws a full guy, stabs a guy repeatedly, slams the main guy's head into the gas machine, into the van window, breaks it, ties the gas tube around his neck. Millie's just like, thank you kindly.
Yeah. And also, whenever we watch this episode, we're like, yeah, it's so clear that Moxie needed this after X's and O's, because you're just like, his fuse is so short. He's like, you know what? Okay, I'll kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Millie is putting on her Southern Belle charm, although she doesn't let them get into their singing. So, which also I think we talked about, but she's like, either these guys are just singing all the time, or like,
Yeah.
she knows them because she's from Wrath, but she immediately shuts them down and then is like, oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm not. I really like to think that these are just locals that she's run into before that make up little songs about everyone. Unfortunately, there wasn't a song about Stryker when he was at the parents' house, but yeah, I love that little bit. Also, I do just want to say that Millie would score so high on a charisma roll in D&D.
Oh, true. Millie's got like a +7 charisma.
Yeah. On like a bonus episode, we should like say what the characters would be in D&D.
Yes, we so should.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just an idea I had on the air.
Stella and Androphis, we talked about a little bit. Stella's fucking stupid. She's a whiny little bitch. She's so dumb and spoiled. Stolas hates Stella less than she hates him, which, I mean, there are definitely times where he definitely clearly hates her, but, like, he's not ordering for her to be murdered, you know?
No, and that's crazy because he's the victim in this situation.
Yeah, she abused him.
Yeah. But also, I feel like that's not necessarily uncommon, especially when first leaving an abusive relationship, which this is fresh at this point.
Yeah. Especially, like, I think it also may be less of an issue of how much they hate each other and just more having to do with the people that they are.
Yeah.
Like, I think even if you say, like, Stolas and Stella hate each other in equal amount, or even if he hated her more, I don't think he would ever stoop to her level because he's just a better person.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It does speak like miles of the kind of people they are just by what they're willing to do to each other.
Yeah.
Also, this is a silly little thing, but we skipped over it. When Millie is talking to the little tiny imps, she shows them. She could, like, point to the wanted poster. She could, like, have gotten a picture of Stryker. But she shows them a drawing that clearly Blitz did of Stryker.
Yeah.
And Stryker has a backwards R.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to say that. Because it's I love Blitz's little, stupid little drawings with misspellings on them. It's one of my favorite little ongoing bits.
Yeah. Let's see. Via is definitely going to be used against Stolas, we already established.
Yeah,
probably
Stella
by
specifically,
Stella,
yeah.
Or Stella coached by Androphis is probably what's going to happen. By the way, I know I've said this a million times. I'm just so fucking excited for Visago, the new faggot in the Goetia family. I saw like 2 frames of him in the season 2 part 2 trailer, and I just have not stopped thinking about him.
Yeah.
He's such a little. He's a faggot. I don't know how else to say it.
Also, I'm wondering if Helluva is allowed to say slurs on YouTube. Because they say the R slur, but like that one's not as moderated on YouTube, I'm sure, unfortunately.
Yeah. And also they technically they said it once, and that was the pilot, which was like a long time ago now, so the rules could have changed. But.
Yeah, but the penguins say slurs.
Yeah.
Which might be a bit to imply that, like, we don't know what slurs.
Yeah.
Because this IMP is probably multiple minorities.
Yeah.
But also, I like to think that it's just straight up the F slur.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it also could be, even if they're allowed to, like, based on YouTube's rules and whatnot, I think it could be a thing of not wanting to upset their audience, since they have such a wide queer audience. Like, there's people like us who would think it's funny and be fine with it, but other people might not want to hear it.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, same should go for the R slur.
Yep.
Especially using it in a negative context, but...
Yeah. But also I think there is also just comedy in the slurs.
Oh yeah, I think it's fucking
slurs.
Yeah.
But that's for another time. That's when we talk about the short.
Yeah.
Great short.
Great short. I love that short so
Yeah,
much. The
it's so
shorts are
good.
fantastic.
They are. And they really fill the gaps.
They do.
Like, I think that's exactly what the show needed.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I would love for them to go back someday and do more shorts in between episodes.
Yeah. Or even flashback shorts that, like, maybe start modern, but, like, have flashback content.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next thing is, Goetia has never behaved like this before.
Yeah. Behaved like what exactly is the question, I think. Like, him being gay, him cheating on Stella to be with Blitz, him divorcing her.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different things it could be. Him just, generally not wanting to do what he's supposed to do, I think, sums it up.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think just, like, being openly different and not acting exactly like a royal is supposed to.
Yeah. I think, like, Stella probably thought she could get away with, abusing him and being shitty and stuff. And even, like, with him cheating on her and everything, she probably just thought, like, all right, whatever, nothing else is going to come of this, because that would be very public and, like, different and out there. But then he's like, no, we're getting a divorce, and I'm gonna go tell this faggot that I love him.
Abusers, when their abuse victim decides to be a person with
autonomy.
Yeah.
I thought you were just gonna stop at be a person. Abusers, when their victims decide to just be a person.
Abuse victims not abuse victims. Abusers when their abuse victims decide to exist and not period.
Yeah. But yeah. But in thinking that way, it's very much normalizing this, like, systemic abuse and a cycle that Stolas is breaking or trying to break. And there's sort of this implication that, the previous Goetias before him may have endured similar circumstances and just not gotten out of it because they felt they couldn't.
And I mean, that would make a lot of sense. You see that in, royal families, but also, like, any family in a public eye. Any kind of famous kind of thing. But then also the way that abuse is perpetrated in the Goetia family as well, kind of like, are they not, like, necessarily, like, trained to endure abuse, but, like, groomed almost, for lack of a better word. There's a better word for it, I just can't think of it. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And then, is Andrelphus just helping Stella because they're family, or does he have an ulterior motive? Meaning, does he also want to see Stolas crumble? Does he want, like, is there any chance that, like, I don't know necessarily where their family stands, class-wise. I know the Goetias are higher.
Yeah.
But, like, is there any chance if he wipes out Goetias that he could get a throne, and he could get more power, like...
Right. Yeah, it's interesting that he is the one who, like, he obviously talks Stella out of having Stolas killed. He's like, if he's dead, like, you get nothing. But he doesn't... It seems like he's not just saying it for her benefit, because he gets so frustrated. And, like, it could just be because she's really dumb and not understanding. But he's like, no, you get nothing. Like, I don't know. It seems like he has more of a stake in it than he's admitting. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like... Because I don't think Stella is going to willingly share with him. Even though, like, he's helping her. I don't... Like, if she were to get money from Stolas or whatever, I don't think she's gonna be like, oh, here you go, Andrelphus, I think she's gonna want to keep it for herself, and I think they're gonna end up, like, betraying each other. And I think that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, and I really do think it could go either way, because if these two, they're siblings, and, like, they seem relatively close in age and, like, close in spirits, so, like, if, like, it's very possible that Andrelphus is, like, a older brother trying to protect little sister, or even just, brother trying to protect sister, especially when she's that fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And that's why he's in it, but I feel like the fact that his motives haven't been stated yet makes me feel that there's something else going on that's going to be a twist.
We really don't know anything about him, like, at all. And so I find myself coming back to when we hear his name mentioned for the first time, which is in the circus, when Stella says, like, and then Drelfus, and then Stolas cuts her off and says, I don't care what your arrogant brother thinks. Like, I don't know, the first time we're ever introduced to him, even a little bit, he's described as arrogant, and so that must be, like, a very central part to who he is, and so I'd be curious to see what that turns into, I think.
I would be too,
because I feel like if he is, like, gunning for some sort of royalty status, that would make sense. Like,
I think it would make sense.
He deserves it.
I think that makes sense, and I think also if it were a situation too where he just jumps in and sides with Stella no matter what the situation is, it would also be something that she would use in an argument. So it could be a mix. But yeah, I'm very interested to see where it goes, especially because we know he's going to be in the rest of season 2 with the other one, Visago. So I'm interested to see where it will go.
I think what was I going to say? I don't remember.
He forgore.
I had one more thing about fucking Andrelphus, but I don't know what it was, so we can move on. You forget. Moving on to the fight scene, and again, just as a reminder from last episode, we're doing this wildly out of order because we're going by characters and then
big moments.
So now we're on the fight scene, which is when Millie and Moxie arrive to save Stolas. Which is, they arrive in the IMP van, so Stolas probably thinks it's Blitz, who he's been hoping would come this whole time.
And, like, imagine the roller coaster of emotions he's got going on there, because he's like, yes, he came for me, like, he's gonna save me, you know, that Prince Charming kind of mentality, and then he realizes that it's not him, and he's like, fuck, and he's like, oh, but they're saving me, but then also, Stolas has a really weird dynamic with Millie and Moxie. Especially with, like, what's that, the Lululand episode, where he says, where's Blitzy? Not you, like, he's supposed to be protecting me, not you tiny imps.
Yeah, it's very much like, even if he does, like, talk down to Blitz all the time, but he claims not to do that, and even if that were true, he very much just has that view towards imps in general. Not, like, necessarily at his own fault, that's just, you know, the way that he was raised his whole entire life, but you can't just say that that's not there. Like, even if you see Blitz as your equal, it doesn't really count for much when you very obviously just see all imps as below you. And that's very much the way he acts towards Millie and Moxie.
Yeah, and it's even more intense than the way he acts with Blitz, which I feel like is important because, like, they save him here. And also, I don't know the exact wording of how he refers to them, but it's always like your workers, essentially. Like, he never says your friends or your colleagues. Like, Blitz does refer to them as his colleagues sometimes, a few times, I think, when he's talking with Stolas, especially about Lululand. But it's always like, it's something I've noticed, I don't know the exact wording, but it's always like a step down. And it's like, it gives the same vibes as his servants.
That's also a really, really good freaking parallel you just pointed out of the whole, like, Blitz is supposed to be my knight in shining armor, not you little ones, back in Lululand, and then the same shit happens in Western Energy. He doesn't say it this time because he's, like, dying, but, you know. But it's like the same. I'm waiting for the moment where Blitz is his knight in shining armor.
It's probably just, and the fact too that that's not something he brings up in that argument that they have. Like, it's not about Blitz not showing up, and it's not like, we're gonna have so much to talk about, and apology to her, we need to hold some of that for that. Not apology to her, full moon. But it's interesting what they end up arguing about.
Because there's so much. It still feels like, even though they finally, like, had a conversation in Full Moon, like we've been wanting them to, they still were dancing around the issues a lot, and this is one of those
I mean, things. I think they're talking about kind of, like, the baseline issue and the thing that everything stems from, which is kind of where you have to start. But they don't talk about the majority of the problems.
They don't talk. Anyway, Moxie already has his gun cocked as the van is tumbling down in circles into the, like, cave thing.
Yeah,
that they're
and the big door in the back opens and he's ready to shoot, which is so fucking impressive because it's going in circles and upside down and fast and like
in general the fight choreography and the animation in this, I love this fight so much, especially the not at this moment right now, but when we get to going back and forth between the battle and then the hospital scene, for the moments of levity, I think it's done really well.
And the one in X's and O's is obviously always going to be one of the top scenes, especially because Millie. But this one I think might be my favorite because the parallels are really strong, and then also the way that music is used in this is really cool. Yeah, I really like this fight scene.
Yeah. Another observation is that Stryker is very resourcso while fighting.
Just like Blitz.
Just like Blitz, which is something that we've noted a lot in this show, that Blitz is very resourceful. And so that's interesting. In the, I don't remember if it's Full Moon or Apology Tour, but Stolas does make a comment about Blitz and Stryker being the same in that argument, which I think is very interesting. And very much a sign of Stolas being the one in the wrong. Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah,
to compare your situationship that you want to say I love you to you and stay with you after everything to the person that actively tortured you and tried to murder you. Yeah. Not really something you do.
No, and it's not really accurate.
Yeah.
It's kinda...
What, they're both imps and they're murderers?
Is Stryker an imp?
I don't know.
I guess if...
I think this is something that I've asked, and or at least your tentative answer was that he's, whatever the step above is, the...
Hellborn?
Hellborn, yeah. But I was gonna say it's not what Vraska is, but not an imp.
When I Google him, it says he's a rare species of imp known as an arch imp. Yeah, this might be a fan base thing though.
I've always thought he's an imp though, because the whole class divide thing is so much stronger if he's an imp.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also he's from Wrath.
And he does have horns and a tail. He's just his coloring is weirder,
Yeah, I think he's definitely a different species of imp.
But he is an imp. I think socially class-wise.
Yeah, I think he's an imp. I've always thought he's an imp. The only thing is that he's got the rattlesnake elements. Yeah. And I think they all have kind of animalistic elements to them, and so he's just probably whatever the not breed of imp, but
his likes are violence and then a sub bullet point killing royalty.
Ayo, my kind of guy.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, it makes sense that he's an imp. He just doesn't. He looks a lot different from other imps that we've seen, so I wasn't sure. Hard pivot to when he's choking Moxie out, and Moxie just goes harder.
Yeah, this is really interesting because it's the harder and the sex things, sex jokes related. It's a callback to Angel Dust's Harder Daddy in the original Has Been Hotel pilot, not the one on Prime, the one on YouTube. Which I think is originally what it was supposed to be. And then after, we have the call forward to Fizz and Oops saying, is it bad that I'm getting hard? Yeah. But both of those, Angel Dust is not in relation to Stryker at all, obviously, because Stryker's not in Has Been. But the fact that Moxie's harder and Fizz's, is it bad that I'm getting hard, they both happen to him, and how close together, because the episodes are really close together.
Yeah, they're both to Stryker.
So is every time he tries to kill one of these fucking imps related to Blitz, they just say a sex joke at him?
Yeah, I wonder if, I don't know, there's no reason why Stolas and or Moxie would be in touch with fucking Fizz between these episodes. There's no reason for that. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But I really like to think that, I don't know, maybe Moxie made, his Instagram post, and he was like, BTW, if you ever run into Stryker from the Wrath Ring, just make sex jokes at him, and then Fizz is like, that'll probably never come in handy. Anyway.
That's really good. That's really good. I can, okay, you really intense fans out there, I want someone to write a fanfic about that. That's a new, not AU, but new prompt. Write it and send it to us. I want it. Anyway.
Yeah. And then there's Stryker's, why is it always a sex thing?
Yeah. And then the chair meme, Why is it always a sex
There's
thing?
a great meme of Stryker sitting in a chair with his head in his hands that we'll try to find and put on the Instagram.
Yeah, this note says butt on Insta because I'm dyslexic, but I meant to write put on Insta.
Yeah. Yeah, Stryker is vanilla as fuck / asexual. I think it'd be really funny if he was ace, personally.
Yeah, he's not in the Pride post, is he?
I don't think so.
I don't think he is, which is fucked up.
Yeah, I want to know. Maybe it'll be plot relevant later.
Which I'm really fucking upset about the stupid fucking Pride thing.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about most of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we've talked about this.
Yeah.
My bonus episode is just going to be me talking about why I'm upset about Mammon being ace. But yeah, his vanilla ass or his ace ass or, well, yeah, both I guess.
You keep vamping. I don't have the notes pulled up.
Okay, cool.
I'll find it.
Looking at the Pride thing, Audie is. But yeah. So we already mentioned this a little bit, but Millie and Moxie together can't fully take Stryker. They can't kill him. Which I think really shows how powerful he is, because we've seen just Millie and just Moxie, but mostly just Millie, take people easy. Mm-hmm. So the fact that together these two really strong fighters, especially with Moxie's pent-up rage right now and how he was able to kill all those people easily earlier. Is that Stryker?
No, that's Wally Wackford.
Oh.
I was squinting.
The fact that I thought they were the same is really funny.
I was squinting. I was like, is Wally Wackford anything? I don't know. Visago is canon gay. He's got rainbow ass glasses.
Hooray.
So I'm excited. I don't think Stryker is on here.
Boo.
Which is fucked up because fucking Chaz is on here.
Yeah, no.
Holding a sign that says, I will fuck anything in the pansexual colors, which is so unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of issues with the way that Vivzy represents the abusers in this show.
Yeah.
Chaz and Mammon should not be in this post.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like putting fucking Val in that post, you know? Like,
and like, I don't know, it seems like there's so much of an emphasis on just making everyone queer that it's like, okay, but what about the actual, like, I don't know, significance of it? You know, it kind of loses any meaning at that point when you're just like, yeah, Mammon can be ace. Like, aside from the fact that he's an abuser, it's just, like, weird.
And I get the fact, too, that, like, a giant part of Helluva is that it's supposed to, and has been, is that it's supposed to be reclaiming hell for the gays. Like, that's the overarching thing.
Yeah.
But, so, like, making the majority of the cast queer makes sense. But, like, Mammon especially, like, Ace is such an interesting one to assign with no reason and no evidence. But, like, Via, that makes a lot of sense, and I could see that being plot relevant.
Yeah.
Like, and to drop that and Mammon being ace in the same post is really weird to me.
It's really weird. On a positive note, I love Via and Luna walking together with Via in the asexual colors and Luna in the bisexual colors. It's adorable. But yeah, it's weird. Stryker, no canon sexuality, I guess, at the moment, but we ball, we move.
We ball. I would love to get one.
Yeah.
Maybe
even if he's straight, I just want to know.
Maybe he don't know. Maybe he figuring it out.
Yeah, you're right.
Going back though to the fight, so Millie and Moxie do get hurt, but Solus is the only one that gets medical attention. Makes sense. He's very, very, very hurt. Mm-hmm. But the way that Millie and Moxie just immediately take care of themselves and then they're good, and we see them do this regularly, was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, do they ever get medical attention for anything? And, like, does that tie into the systemic oppression of medical care that we see it in this episode? Mm-hmm. It was just an interesting note. I think mainly because the rest of the episode, it stuck out to me.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to everyone at the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as Blitz fucking falls on his face and then looks up and sees Stolas's feathers pass over him, a fucking G note plays, which is it. So if you're new around here, Stolas's little motif is in G minor, and then his song in the circus briefly modulates into G major and then back into G minor. Whatever. The point is, it centers around G. And so for it to play the G in this moment, it's like referencing the very start of Stolas' motif, which is fucked up and evil of them.
Yeah.
And made me crazy when this episode first dropped. Yeah. So that's fun. I think it's funny that the G note is relevant as like an emotional thing in Helluva Boss, because it gives My Chemical Romance Tumblr vibes.
I really want to it's most likely just a coincidence, but I really want to think that it's not. Yeah. That they were like, cool, I really like this thing you did with like the motif and like that it goes from major to minor, but it needs to be in a G note. Yeah. Or even just the music artist was like, you know what would be a really funny emotional gag?
Yeah.
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 And then, so, two things. Millie and Moxie immediately help Blitz up when he falls this time, which parallels in Murder Family when they go to each other and then Blitz is like, oh, what am I?
Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah. But then when they do pick him up, the fucked up thing where he says, his facial expressions, the way that they shift at this point, I noted. Sorry, I'm jumping around the notes. I'm getting very caught up. But when Millie says he got hurt bad, and then Blitz goes, Stolas got what? He can get hurt?
Yeah.
Which this, combined with him restating it in an apology tour, really reiterates, like, he genuinely didn't understand.
He had no idea, yeah. Yeah. Do you think Moxie has told him about the fucking gun that can kill royals? Because I feel like he needs to know. I feel like maybe Moxie has just decided, like, I think it might be better off if Blitz doesn't know for his own mental well-being. Otherwise, he will go around all of hell collecting all of the Carmilla Carmine guns in existence.
Stolas, like, is, like, completely over... I mean, not Stolas. Blitz is, like, completely over Stolas. Makes a joke about killing his stupid royal ass, and Moxie goes, you know, like, you could. There's this guy. He's like, what?
Yeah.
And then he collects all of the guns, goes, Stolas says, I collected all of these so no one can kill you.
I want to live in a world where the plot of Has Been Season 1 and, like, this part of Helluva Boss are happening concurrently. Mm-hmm. So, like, fucking Charlie Morningstar and, like, Vaggie are going to Carmilla Carmine, like, hey, we need your guns to kill angels. And then, like, Blitz finds out that they've got all these guns in one place. So he just starts, like, taking them all. And they're like, how the fuck do we kill the angels? Someone stole our guns. And Blitz is just trying to protect his situation.
Yeah.
Boy toy.
That's really funny. Especially because, like, the extermination things, if assuming these are happening on the same timeline, how does that not affect anyone's life in Helluva?
Because, I mean, only sinners die.
Yeah, but, like, that's inconvenient.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, like, their whole demographic
that's
is the
true.
sinners.
That's
so
true,
they're probably like, fucking stop killing. But maybe the extermination does stop happening and takes place way before Helluva.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know.
We don't know. I would really be curious to know if the extermination is at all relevant in the universe of Helluva, because it's just...
Because they're the same universe, technically.
Yeah.
But we have no idea what the timelines are. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, yeah.
So it's really interesting. Even though I think they're both... Well... Helluva is definitely modern. Like, modern day.
Yeah, present day, yeah.
Has Been could be a little in the past, but not much.
Yeah.
Because there's very modern, like, vocabulary and stuff.
Yeah. I can't even think of any implication that it's one or the other.
Yeah, except for, like, the vocabulary and like, the ways they talk.
Yeah.
In Has Been.
Yeah.
But, and I'm also thinking of, like, the time frames that certain characters in Has Been have died. Mm. And most of them are a long, long while ago, so. But, anyway. That's not the podcast.
Yeah. Point being, Blitz didn't know Stolas could get her.
That was a tangent, yes. That's the point.
Didn't think helping him from... Oh my god, I have to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. Like, even at the start of this episode, like, when Blitz gets the call from Stolas, he's like, all right, hurry up, Millie and Moxie. I think Stolas might be in real shit this time. And, like, he says that, but clearly he didn't think it was actually that worrying. You know, it still very much came secondary to Luna getting her Helby's shot. Yeah. Which is totally fair for him in this
because he didn't understand. But, like, when we see that in the beginning, we're like, oh my god, what a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But he really didn't know.
Yeah, that's why the he can get hurt line is so fucking... It's such a blow.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, that informs everything. Yeah. And oh my god. Because, like, probably Blitz, like, everything's probably going through his head. Like, he's probably like, why wasn't I there? I should have been there. And then also, like, fuck, I didn't know, like, that Stryker could actually kill him. Like,
yeah. I also like the parallel of, Blitz choosing his daughter over Stolas, where a lot of Stolas's issues with Via is that, to her at least, it seems like he's choosing Blitz over her.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting.
But then also to have the Blitz choose Luna over Stolas and then have the thing that strikes a chord with Stolas from Stryker be Via in the same episode is really interesting.
Yeah.
They just need to get together and be stepdads, I think. Yeah. And then also, Blitz obviously is afraid about hurting people. That's his thesis statement. That's Apology Tour's thesis statement. He doesn't want to get too close because he thinks he sucks and he's going to hurt people. But then inevitably, by breaking things off, he hurts people. So what does he think now that he knows that Stolas can get hurt from him? Like, obviously, he probably knew that he could get emotionally hurt, but, like, he cares about him a lot. So is obviously his distance is from feeling bad and from their whole situation and relationship being strained. But also, is it because he's afraid of hurting him now that he knows he can be hurt?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. La la la. Yeah, then we go to Stolas in his hospital room, which has the...
Sorry?
What?
My straw hit my mug.
Which has the Blitz and Stolas theme playing over the whole thing. Stolas, we see, is hooked up with, like, a blood transfusion. So he obviously lost a shit ton of blood during this whole thing. He's bandaged up. His limbs are elevated, so, broken, we can assume. So very much hurt. And it's still fucking crazy to me that we never got any follow-up between this and then him being fully recovered. That's crazy to me.
And to be fair, the next time we see him is in Oops, and he's in his full, like, outfit where he's completely covered. Like, I think he's got, like, a track or something covering his arms.
Yeah.
So he could have had bandages on, but he's like, walk.
He's walking. He's being a person. Yeah. And, I mean, maybe it just doesn't take very long for demons / royalty in hell, but, I think still would have been interesting to see some in between. It kind of makes the stakes feel lower. Yeah. Even though, like, he did come close to death, like, if he was able to heal that fast, it's like, oh, well, then maybe it wasn't that urgent after all. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's really interesting, especially because we don't for sure know the exact time frame between everything. So it could have taken months. It could have taken 3 days. We don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. He has so many flowers and gifts from so many people just, like, filling up his hospital room, but he is still so fucking sad and lonely.
And alone, because there's no one there.
There's no one there with him. Even Via, what does Via know about this situation?
Yeah, obviously or at least I'd hope she knows that he's in the hospital.
Yeah,
Does she visit him? Is she allowed to visit him?
Yeah.
What has Stella told her happened?
Right, because her mother orchestrated this whole thing. And we haven't seen him talk to her since Seeing Stars.
Right.
So we have no idea what conversation he's had with her in the meantime. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And
we are definitely getting more of Via this season from the trailer, so I'm holding out hope for something more conclusive, but...
Yeah, and I think also, going back, that Stella probably is telling her, like, obviously Via is worried about Stolas spending more time with Blitz than with her and caring more about Blitz, so Stella, first of all, feeding that fear to begin with, but then also feeding that fear more, she's probably telling her that his hospitalization had something to do with Blitz. I would not it would make sense.
Yeah. Or just even being vague and being like, oh, it's his own fault. You know?
Yeah.
Not explaining it any more than that, even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Via, Stolas' phone background is him and Via, which is so cute.
Cute,
so
yeah.
sweet. Yeah. And then we see Stolas and Blitz's text conversation. And we see that the last time they talked was right after Ozzy's.
Which is crazy.
I mean, we don't know how long ago that was either.
Yeah.
But it's been a few episodes, like, in terms of show timeline.
Yeah.
We've fucking met Moxie's dad in
Yeah.
that time. And then we do know they did talk in Seeing Stars and saw each other then. But, you know, they haven't, like, texted since Ozzy's one way or another, so.
And it honestly is really interesting because he also... that they haven't texted specifically since then, because we know that Stolas has called him. Because, oh yes, a bad time again, or whatever he says. So is it like a thing that Stolas doesn't want to text him? Like, is it too awkward? He wants to have a conversation?
Right. Which would make sense because he's gearing up to talk to Ozzy. Like, that was supposed to happen on this day, and then he got fucking kidnapped, so.
Yeah. And then also, another thing in Seeing Stars, when there's the thing... Or no, I'm wrong. I was going to say he calls the IMP phone, but he doesn't. Blitz calls him on the IMP.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. But yeah, these texts happen at 17:49, aka 5:49 p.m. That's probably not relevant at all, but it's just some sense of something.
Yeah, it is interesting though, because how long has he been at the hospital?
Right.
Because they didn't. I don't think they got there in the evening. I think it's fully day when they get there.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Just because also, like, the sky always being a color, it's hard to tell.
That's true.
Day, I think.
It wasn't dark.
Yeah.
But it also probably wouldn't be dark at that time. Yeah. So, doesn't really matter.
Yeah. What is relevant is that Stolas is an Android user.
Those text bubbles are green.
Those text bubbles are fucking green. You know Blitz is looking at them like, motherfucker.
Yeah. Also, he's a royal. Why the fuck is he an Android user? He's such a dad.
He's such a dad, yeah.
Via probably, like, begged him for an iPhone, and she was like, of course. And then she was like, Dad, please get an iPhone. I want my text messages to be blue.
Yeah.
I want red receipts.
Yeah. And then we move into the petals sequence, which is sort of like the he loves me not kind of vibe we're hitting. So there's like a thing of, I mean, there's a lot of flowers, but there's one specific thing of flowers where the petals are falling from on, like, Stolas' desk table, where one petal falls when the phone vibrates with the text from Blitz. So this is, like, loves me. The second petal falls when Blitz stops typing, loves me not. Third petal falls when Stolas puts his phone down.
Yeah, so the third petal falls onto Stolas' phone after he puts it on the nightstand. And that's
loves me.
Loves me just. I don't know if that one's really implied at all, but it's just the third one.
Yeah, we're just alternating loves me not.
Well, the first two do match.
They do, yes. Yeah, and then a fourth petal falls in, like, the closing frame, loves me not. Those third and fourth petals possibly represent Blitz's point of view. With, like, the third one is Blitz's point of view, and then the fourth one is Stolas' point of view, because we see the third one, like, on the phone that Blitz was texting from, and then the fourth one is, like, a wider shot of the room.
Yeah.
With Stolas. So that makes sense.
Yeah. It could be like a Stolas, I mean, Blitz is like, yeah, everything's fine, cool, and then Stolas is like, no, he fucking hates me.
Yeah.
Or we could be reading into it too much.
It could just be a normal-ass flower. Like, I don't know. Yeah. But Stolas curls up after he puts his phone down, which is so sad, but also it, like, he gets teary-eyed, all curled up, and it parallels Blitz crying after looking at his phone at the end of Ozzy's, and also, more recently, in Apology Tour, I think Blitz curls up on his couch and crying. I could be wrong.
Not
with his phone, so not as direct of a parallel, but
I think you're right, but when?
I don't remember. I've only seen Apology Tour once.
Is it Apology?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
Maybe Full Moon. One of the two.
I'm just thinking because it's at the end of Ozzy's that he does that, but at the ends of both of those episodes are at Stolas' house and the party, respectively.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think you're right. I just don't know where.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to take the next one?
It's a hard pivot. I forgot I wrote that. The still under the him curled up, is that he naked in he hospital bed?
This is a vulnerable man, Alex. This is a man who has been tortured and almost murdered, orchestrated by the woman that he is divorcing, who has abused him, and you want to know if he's naked.
No, the question is he naked? Because why didn't they give this man a hospital gown? Why is he naked?
That's none of your business. Maybe he just didn't want it.
Okay, that's fair, but like,
I don't know, man.
Why are you in a hospital gown? I'm curious.
I don't know.
But anyway, is Stolas getting hurt a dishonor to the Goetia name? Like, is it him being seen as weak and things like that?
Yeah.
So like,
I think that's possible. I would also argue maybe the flip side that, like, I feel like he's already kind of been a disgrace or a dishonor to the Goetia name. This might earn him some pity points. Like,
yeah.
Oh, now you're a real royal. You know, you got people putting hits out after you.
Yeah.
I could see it going either way.
I could see it going either way, too. I also think that it could help it could help or hurt the toxic masculinity of the Goetia family, where they're like, oh my god, yeah, you're getting beat up on now. Perfect. Or they're like, oh, you couldn't even take a beating? Like, those little imps had to save you? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, being saved by Millie and Moxie, if that information is made public, that would definitely be used against him, I think.
Which, I mean, the pictures at the scene, like, first of all, they must have called the hospital and been like, hey, we're bringing this person, because all those cameras were already out there.
Yeah.
And then, like, the pictures, like, Millie and Moxie are definitely in them getting him out of that van. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to see what comes out of it news-wise. I don't know if we'll ever know, though, because the only news we ever see is that, like, one article with Ozzy.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we already talked about Octavia a little bit. But yeah, if she did know, was she able to visit him? Did she want to visit him?
Yeah.
Maybe depending on what she was told, she didn't want to.
Yeah. I just want to know more.
I want to know. I love Octavia.
Me too. And this is just a random little question. Does Stolas need a specific royal blood for transfusion? Because obviously royal blood is, like, just genuinely one of those things that's like, oh yeah, it's passed down, and it's like... But also, like, does that... Like, do they just have royal blood on supply? Did someone have to donate? Or is he getting just a regular blood transfusion, and does that take away his, like, you know, validity as... a royal, you know, like that, the whole, like, royal blood is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because is there any implication that Stolas's, like, magic abilities are purely genetic? Because it kind of seems like he had to learn them from the Grimoire. So I think, I don't even, like, the show might contradict this. I don't fully remember, but I think, one, it would be thematically very interesting and appropriate if, you know, there's no difference in the blood whatsoever between the, you know, an imp or a royal. But also I think, like, that's interesting because literally nothing, like, physically, genetically sets Stolas apart other than the fact that he was born by people who happen to be royal, but, like, he's only allowed to learn magic because of that, you know? Like, I don't, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it's ever implied that he can only do magic because he's royal. I think it's just, like, you're only allowed to learn magic because you're royal.
I think also because he owns the Grimoire, and the Grimoire in itself is enchanted and has magic.
Because he's royal, he owns it.
Yes, exactly, yes. But I think I don't think it does have anything to do with his blood or him being a royal, because Blitz can easily use the Grimoire. It's the Grimoire, not Stolas. Just Stolas has had more time and more... you know, training. But also is the Grimoire nearby when he does magic in Lululand and turns people to stone?
No, but, like, he might have learned magic from the grimoire, you know? It
Right.
might not be the grimoire itself that is the magic.
But that's interesting because Blitz can only do magic and open portals with the grimoire present.
That's true, yeah.
So...
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And maybe Stolas has some kind of crystal. Maybe it's something else, some other magical item that he has.
Yeah.
But... Yeah, but then also... I don't know. It is interesting. And also, the blood being the same color, maybe that's on purpose. Maybe they didn't miss the opportunity of the blood thing. Maybe it will be.
Yeah, that's what
relevant.
I was thinking, yeah.
If it's not, though, I'm still upset. But yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I'd just love some clarification on the magic system here, personally.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the 7 deadly sins, they all...
That might be different, yeah.
I think they all have magic.
Inherently.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Goetia not having it would make sense. So I don't know, yeah.
Yeah. Generally, good episode.
Yeah.
Well done. Storytelling, pacing, transitions. The transitions especially I love in this episode.
Yeah, I think this episode's really well animated, really well written. Like, it's one of my faves.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for, like, its content. Like, it's not one of the ones I rewatch and I'm like, oh my god, this fucking show.
Yeah.
But, it's just good.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it for Western Energy. So, yeah. In 2 weeks, we will begin... What's next? Oh, Happy Campers?
Unhappy Campers.
Unhappy Campers? Yep.
They are not happy.
Not happy. That'll probably be one episode.
Yeah.
For us. So we'll do Unhappy Campers.
I was gonna say maybe we'll pair it with something, but the next fucking thing is Oops.
Yeah.
And that will definitely be at least one episode.
Yeah.
When did the first short come out?
In the spring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, never mind.
Yeah. Reminder, Big Cartel stickers and our Ko-Fi link, which is where you can donate to us if you want to financially support us, but you don't want to buy a sticker for whatever reason. All links are in the link tree in our Instagram bio, including the link to our newsletter, which you can join, and we'll figure out what we're doing for the month of August. And our Instagram is at AA Discussions. We've also got a YouTube. Again, Instagram. It's all on the Instagram. Yeah, just go to the Instagram.
Go to the Instagram. If you, for whatever reason, don't have Instagram, you can also go to just go to YouTube on your browser and find us there, and our link tree is also there. Also, if you want to look it up manually, the link tree is just at AA Discussions. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. We always say go to the Instagram, but not everyone has Instagram.
Yeah, our link tree is this. Exact link is... Hang on, I'm pulling it up. I thought I would have it by the time I started talking. It's linktr.ee/AA discussions.com, I think. Maybe not. No.com.
Yeah, I don't think you type in the .com even if it is there.
Yeah.
So yeah. You have no excuse to not check out our link tree.
Go find it. It's Olivia Rodrigo themed. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. And then also, I feel like I stopped saying this because I was saying it every single time, but I feel like I haven't said it in a while. The stickers come with a personalized note that we both write. And then also we draw little characters. So you're getting a sticker, you're getting a little note, you're getting little drawings, and it's like $3 total, right? And then $5 for international shipping. So get yourself a sticker.
Yeah.
They're really, really good quality. You can put them on a water bottle. You can wash over them. They're great. Yeah. If you want to check out, if you want to emotionally support us, is what the notes say. Check out our Instagrams, our personal ones.
Audie Lagara.
And Alex Freggy. They're just at our names.
They're in the AA bio also. So
just go there. Just go there.
It's so much easier.
Yeah, we already said newsletter. And then our Helluva Q&A actually calls back to the first part of the episode because we had 2 Q&As for that one. We did the one about Stryker's voice actor last episode. So this one is, what do you think about Fizz's change in design? So Spotify changed their feedback thing a little bit, and we can't do specific questions with open form responses. So you can leave a just general comment now. So do that if you want to do a long form answer. But also we'll put up a poll with some basic, simple
Yeah.
answers that you can vote there as well.
Yeah.
But we'd love to hear your more in depth if you have more than just like, I like it, I hate it,
Yeah.
I'm indifferent, you know? We'd love to hear what you have to say. Yeah, and then also we've been getting so many people reaching out to us recently.
We have.
And it's been so sweet. And if you are nervous about reaching out, but you want to, just do it. So many people do it, and it's so sweet. We love responding to you guys. Yeah, is there anything else?
No.
Perfect. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Stay sexy.
Hooray, 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 hooray.